Just about everybody over here. I just wanted to take a moment and welcome everybody to the new Jaycee Community Park. We are super excited about this today. And I want to thank Leanne Rhodes, who's our Recreation and Program Coordinator. Where is she? Standing right back over here. She's the brains and the brawn behind all of this coming together and also sharing this morning with the Kids Get Fit event, allowing us to take some time and dedicate this park. My name is Jeff Rau. I'm the Director of Public Works. I've been in this position for just under 9 years, and this was a project that started in the planning phases for this type of renovation right into my first year. So I want to first of all go through just a little history on Jaycee Park. It's actually now Jaycee Community Park. But, the original concept plan was approved by the Village Board in September 15th of 1980. And believe it or not, was actually very close to the plan that where it was before, with the walking paths and a couple ball fields and a soccer field. As an interesting note, nothing happened from 80 to 85, probably due to funding, because that happens sometimes, and sometimes these projects just take a while. But in 1985, this was actually a training ground for the Wisconsin Army National Guard 229th Engineering Division. And if you have a moment, you can come up and read an article from 1985 about that. But they used it as a training ground for their individuals who go overseas and construct airfields and other bases and everything like that. Basically, they saved the village about $45,000, which would be about $130,000 in today's funds. So if you've ever heard that rumor that this was built by the Army originally, it is correct. Following grading by the National Guard, the village and the Jaycees, with about $12,000, worked to seed the fields and have everything paved, and it was kind of where it was up until several years ago. From 1985 to 2017, we could find several drafts of some different ideas that had happened with the park, but really not much had happened until about 2016, when the village staff, administration, and everything were approached by the the sports clubs organizations and saying, we really need to upgrade our facilities. We need ball fields, we need soccer fields, we need, better facilities for our youth. And what that started with was many early morning meetings with sports groups and staff for almost an entire year, working with our consultants to come up with a plan. In fact, I was able to dig up the original Concept A from 2016, December 2016. It's back here on a board behind me. And you can see it's changed quite a bit, but there were almost 13 revisions to get to the final plan of where we are today. Fundraising began, and we were able to raise a very considerable amount of money. Phil will come up a little later and kind of share about some of the sponsorships and some of the generous donations that we received from local organizations and groups. In 2020, we initiated the contract with Rettler Corporation, which is a design engineering firm out of Stevens Point, and they're the brainchild behind all of this. And everything you see, these are their ideas with some of our suggestions along the way. We started bidding and construction in 2022 for the park and electrical services, and then we had to rebid the concession building behind us because it came out way, way, way too high. But obviously that's all been constructed, and now we're dedicating this today. If you notice, we had to break up the project into a couple phases. This was phase one. Phase two, you can see, is under construction, and that's going to include a new baseball field, several new playing fields, also a new playground. If anyone noticed, we had to tear out the playground. If you come over here and look on the back of this, this is what your playground's going to look like. It's super fun, super exciting. It's going to have that squishy foam base that all the kids love, and it'll just be a really neat area. And it'll be right over, kind of near where the old playground was. So, for all those naysayers out there on Facebook that said we tore out the playground and we don't care about kids, it's wrong, Frank. It's wrong. Don't get your information from Facebook. Call the Village Hall. All right. I want to say that doing a project like this involves working with incredible teams. And I'll talk about some of those, and Phil will talk about some of those in here in just a second. It's been a pleasure to work alongside a lot of people who are here today, from the early meetings in the sports clubs to our consultants to our design engineers to the contractors and everything. And I'm going to kind of share a little bit about each of those. First off, Mike Grace. Mike Grace was our village administrator for 22 years. He was the village's first administrator. He retired in 2022. In the last couple of years of Mike's administration here, he said, I really think we need to focus on Jaycee Park. And he put that as a priority item, worked with the board, and really got the ball rolling. As with any project like this, it really does take that cheerleader to get things going. And I can still remember our very first meeting is Lisa. Lisa, are you here? Okay, Lisa's back there. Okay, Lisa Novinska, myself, and Mike. And Mike and Lisa were all gung-ho for it, and all I saw was a ton of work. And you know what? We were all right. But I still remember, Mike said this is really something we need for the village. And so Mike's not here today, I don't think, but if you ever see him around, thank him for that. Next thing, we couldn't do this, Ross Rettler. Rettler Corporation out of Stevens Point had designed our Highlands and Netherwood Park. We were thrilled with them. They came in and said, we've got some ideas for this park. You patiently worked with us through, literally 13 revisions. Never saw the bills for those either, by the way. That was really good. Thanks. But Ross and his brother Chase Rettler helped run Rettler Corporation out of Stevens Point. They have been phenomenal to work with. Patient, understanding, patient. Did I mention you're patient with us? Okay, yeah. They're used to working with municipalities and everything, but just truly able to design a first-rate facility and have some suggestions and tell us when we're going off direction and everything. But truly, thank you to you and your team. I should mention that you'll also see a plaque here that is going to be going on the building here. It's being cast right now, recognizing all those individuals in perpetuity, right? Sketchworks Architecture. Nick Badura is right over here in the striped purple and purple shirt, right? Had the honor of working with Nick not only in the renovation of the Village Hall, but also in the design of this concession building. Concession buildings aren't easy. There's a lot of uses going on, and there's a lot of things to think about. And they really came together to provide us a very economical, well thought out, well laid out type of facility. One of the things I love is these overhangs. Honestly, when it storms, there's going to be 1,000 people under these. And as long as we don't drive, as long as our contractor doesn't drive a truck into one of the corners, which if anyone was here, that did happen. No, just a really neat facility. Sketchworks have been very, very great to work with, phenomenal on all counts, and truly thank you. A couple contractors that we have for phase one was Fisher Construction. Fisher Construction, they were the ones that had to take basically a very wet, soggy Oregon topsoil clay mud pit and turn it into some playing fields that are well drained and usable in all conditions and everything like that. Wayne Fisher and his team, I don't think Wayne's here today unless I see him, but just really great to work with. And then we also have Yonke General Contractors, which is now doing phase two. So far they've been fantastic to work with. You can see the fact that they've had to bring in a lot of what I call good soils and everything, but just been, we nickname it Oregon topsoil if it's just solid clay, right, Ross? Ross always warns the contractors, make sure you look at the soils. Nichols Electrical Construction Contractors, Rod Howard and his crew, basically everything that they do is underground. One of the things you'll notice that we have in this are these posts that are around us, and these posts are actually bases for the Musco lighting system that will be hopefully phase three. And so all the conduit is run, the posts are in, on not only this field, we'll be putting them in also on the 2 multi-use playing fields out there, so that when we can afford it or get donations from, like, I don't know, Oregon Community Bank or One Community Bank, for instance, or Hy-Vee or Culver's. Craig, you here? But no, just give us an opportunity, very, kind of planning ahead so we don't have to tear up everything when we do the lighting. Bauer Builders. Bauer Builders were the contractors that constructed the building behind us, and they're also constructing the maintenance building you're seeing being constructed to the east of us. They've just been also, the neat thing with this, I've worked on a lot of projects. It has been a joy to work with all of these contractors, and that's rare. That is, Ross is shaking his head yes, because that is a rare moment. And I think that's a great testimony to our village as a whole, the staff that we have, and the consultants that kind of guide us through that. So thank you to Bauer Builders. And then lastly is Martin here. Martin Shanks, come on down. Okay, haven't seen him. If you haven't met Martin Shanks, he's our new village administrator. He just celebrated his 3rd year, I think, here with us. And, Martin's been instrumental in taking us to that next step, which is phase 2, and getting that in front of the village board and saying, we need to finish this park off. And so a lot of credit given to Martin for really pushing that, and the village board getting behind it and saying that that's what we want to, move forward with. All right, well, I'm wrapping up here. It'd be impossible to really recognize and thank everyone, but this is a community project done by community people who love their community. And so just want to thank you. We have a couple, I'm going to welcome up Steve Peotter of One Community Bank.
Thank you, Jeff. So good morning, everyone. I am Steve Peotter, President and Chief Executive Officer at One Community Bank, and it's an honor to share a few brief remarks with all of you on a glorious Saturday morning. So at One Community Bank, we believe in 3 things: serving clients, supporting colleagues, and investing in our communities. And we have been proud to be part of this project from maybe not 1980 or 1985, as Jeff talked about, but have been proud to have been part of the conversation. Jeannie, I think, first reached out to us to talk about the vision the village had for Jaycee Park. Kind enough to do an update video with Randy as the progress continued, and very excited to be here today for the ribbon cutting with Phil. So throughout all that journey, we had the opportunity to calibrate or celebrate how to recognize our support of this project. And as you look around, you'll see the dugout and the field, and we're very proud to have the One Community Bank support represented at those fields. We also are proud to be hosting One Community Bank concession stand. And it was the concession stand that really created a unique idea from Phil about a month ago. So about a month ago, Phil came to me and said, Steve, we really appreciate all that One Community Bank has done for the village and for Jaycee Park. You're such a great organization. And Steve, you're just a really nice guy. And that brought, really tears to my eyes. So Phil's claiming he doesn't remember. I have the email and I record all calls. So I said, Phil, I really appreciate you saying that, and we're very proud to do what we do. But what we can do at One Community Bank is thanks to our clients and colleagues and community members here in Oregon to support these great projects. I said, Phil, we'd really love to find a way for all these folks that have a connection to One Community Bank to get complimentary food at the concession stand forever. Now, Phil said, Steve, it's a really creative idea. I'm not sure exactly how we're going to do that with all the different organizations that'll be part of the concession stand and all the events, but let me give it some thought. Let me see what I can come up with. And we know that Phil's a sharp guy and has really creative ideas, as we can all see. And just a few moments ago, while Jeff was giving his very brief and positive remarks about the entire journey of Jaycee Park, Phil came to me and said, all right, Steve, here's what we're going to do. Anybody who has a connection to One Community Bank, as however we want to define connection, can absolutely get reimbursed for any item they buy at the concession stand. They only need to do 3 things. They need to, 1, take a picture of whatever they got from the concession stand, whatever they purchased that day. 2, add the words, thanks OCB, and then send that in an email or a text to the one and only Jeff Rau, village. Yep. And if you have any other suggestions about the village, right? That's where you would want to include those comments. So Phil, great idea. Jeff, really look forward to that. And he says he might give you cash if you stop by unannounced right at 4:59. So on behalf of One Community Bank, appreciate the opportunity to say a few words. We love the relationship we have with the village and with all of you. And congratulations to the village and the community of Oregon on an incredibly successful Jaycee Park. Thanks, everyone.
I know you're all here actually for the One Community Bank hot dogs, so I'll keep this brief. Hello and welcome to the newly christened Jaycee Community Park. I'm Phil Van Kampen, your village president. Today we are honored to have two past village presidents with us, Gene Carpenter and Randy Glish. Both Gene and Randy played key roles in the development of this project during their tenures. A monumental project such as this park reconstruction does not happen overnight, nor does it come to fruition without patience and teamwork. Many people and organizations have dedicated their time, talents, and resources to bring this project to where it is today. As village president, I want to recognize and express my gratitude to everyone who contributed to this endeavor, especially Steve Peotter. First and foremost, we thank the village residents for their financial commitment and trust in our community's leadership. This park is an investment in our future as a village and in the youth of our community. Without the resident support, a project like this would not be possible. We also recognize and thank both past and present village board members for their support in moving this project forward. I would like to ask all past and present village board members who are here today to please raise their hands and be recognized. Many individuals, families, and organizations have donated funds to this project. I feel it is important to acknowledge some of our major sponsors. One Community Bank and Steve Peotter for their financial sponsorship of $100,000 towards concession building, dugouts, fields, and scoreboards. Oregon Youth Baseball, which contributed $60,000 for a baseball field and dugout. Oregon Home Talent Baseball, which donated $35,000 for a baseball field and dugout. And I want to mention that each of those are dedicated to individuals that gave a lot to this community. One is Mark Putnam, whose family is here today. I see his wife Kathy and sons Colin and Brian. The other was Tom McCauley. Someone's here from his family. All right, great. Thank you. Friends of Oregon Pickleball, who contributed over $30,000 toward the pickleball courts and sunshade structures, with some members also sponsoring individual pickleball courts. Canvas Corporation, which provided over $30,000 worth of recycled wind turbine materials that you see throughout the park here, converted into benches and furniture for the park. Oregon Youth Softball, which contributed $20,000 for 2 dugouts. The Oregon Tourism Commission, which donated $20,000. Horizon, which contributed $20,000 for a scoreboard. This is the last page. Trotty Corporation, which donated $20,000 for a scoreboard. Oregon Brooklyn VFW Post, which contributed $12,000 towards the Veterans Memorial Flag Plaza over here. Many others have graciously donated funds towards this amazing project. Please take a moment to visit the donor wall where we celebrate all of our generous donors. Importantly, I would be remiss if I did not recognize the efforts of Jeff Rau, our Public Works Director. Jeff has tirelessly driven this project from its inception and will see it through to its expected completion in '25. Feel free to email Jeff your thanks at any time. Yeah. Let's see here. Jaycee Community Park has served our village since its original construction in 1985 and will continue to serve our residents and guests for many years to come. It is an honor to stand before you today and dedicate Jaycee Community Park for the Village of Oregon on this day, May 18th, 2024. Thank you all for coming out today and celebrating this important occasion with us. Randy Glish, Jean, and I will now cut the ribbon and continue with today's festivities.
Okay.